Have you ever heard of the man who predicted the sinking of the Titanic, down to the last chilling detail? No, he wasn't a psychic. His name was William Thomas Stead, and his story is far more incredible than any crystal ball prediction. This wasn't a lucky guess. It was the result of years of obsessive investigation. Stead was a journalist, a muckraker, a man who dove deep into the stories others were too afraid to tell. For years, he immersed himself in the world of transatlantic shipping. He spent countless hours in noisy shipyards talking to the builders who laid the steel plates. He sat in smoky taverns, listening to the sailors who had faced the wrath of the North Atlantic. He interviewed captains, the very men entrusted with thousands of lives, and what he learned shook him to his core. Shipping companies were pushing their captains to break records, shave hours off their voyages, all for the sake of prestige and profit. They were building these magnificent floating palaces, advertising them as unsinkable, a word that sent a shiver down Stead's spine. He knew the arrogance behind that claim. He knew that steel, no matter how strong, was no match for the immense power of nature. The sailors told him about the ice fields, the terrifying silent mountains of ice that drifted in the shipping lanes. They spoke of near misses, of close calls in the dead of night, of the constant gnawing fear of a collision. The shipbuilders admitted, in hushed tones, that the watertight compartments, the very feature that made these ships supposedly unsinkable, weren't as foolproof as the public believed. A significant gash could doom even the grandest vessel. Armed with this knowledge, Stead began to write. He penned fictional stories, not to entertain, but to warn. In one story, written years before the Titanic was even designed, he described a massive ocean liner striking an iceberg in the North Atlantic. He wrote about the chaos, the insufficient number of lifeboats, the horrifying loss of life as hundreds were plunged into the icy water. It wasn't fiction. It was a forecast, a desperate plea to the world to wake up. He detailed how, in the frantic scramble for safety, there wouldn't be enough lifeboats for everyone on board. He painted a grim picture of passengers and crew left behind on the tilting deck of a dying giant. It was a terrifyingly accurate blueprint for the disaster to come. People read his stories. Perhaps they were thrilled by them, but they didn't heed the warning. They dismissed him as a sensationalist, a purveyor of cheap thrills. Then, on April 14, 1912, the unsinkable Titanic hit an iceberg. The reality was even more horrific than Stead's fiction. The chaos, the lack of lifeboats, the tragic loss of life had all played out exactly as he had foretold. He didn't just predict the event, he understood the systemic failures, the human hubris, and the deadly combination of factors that made it inevitable. And the most tragic irony of all, William Thomas Stead was a first-class passenger on the Titanic's maiden voyage. He went down with the ship, becoming a victim of the very disaster he tried so desperately to prevent. His story is a powerful reminder that the most accurate predictions often come not from magic but from listening to the voices of experience and having the courage to speak the truth even when no one wants to hear it. Thanks for watching. If you found this story as fascinating as I did, make sure to subscribe for more deep dives into history's forgotten warnings.